What are the round objects on Buddha's head? Do you know the history? The story is 108 snails on Buddha's head. Hair is often metaphorically regarded as human beings' illusion. Therefore, it is also called weeds of ignorance, and having a shaved head symbolically represents getting rid of those illusions. It is believed that to achieve the level of true understanding and enlightenment, we should keep our body and mind clean. That's why we often see Buddhist monks with shaved heads. Even history suggests that Siddhartha Gautama Buddha cut his hair when he left his palace to achieve enlightenment. However, when we see Buddha statues and other forms of art, Buddha is portrayed with short and tight ringlet curls. There are around 108 ringlet curls on the Buddha's head. So, one might wonder why the artists have been portraying Buddha with short ringlets. There are numerous beliefs, one of which suggests that those ringlets are not short hair. They are actually 108 dried snails. One day, the Buddha was roaming around. He began to ponder, so he sat down under the tree and started to meditate. He became so immersed in his thoughts that he didn't notice the time. As time passed by, the sun rays were directed to his bald head. At that moment, a snail was making its way along the ground. Snail noticed that the Buddha was meditating on that hot day. Even though he sat under the tree, the sun rays were directed towards his head. Snail thought that the Buddha's head was soon going to become a distraction, and it would be hard for him to concentrate. Without a second thought, Snail made its way up to the Buddha's head and sat there, with his mucus body cooling the Buddha's smooth and bare skin. Other snails also followed the first one, went up to the head and sat down there. Snails on the head looked like a neat cap of spiral shells. Snails' cool and damp bodies helped to maintain the Buddha's meditation continue for hours. The snail became parched and dry due to the heat rays. Later in the evening, when Buddha stood from the meditation, he learned that he was wearing a cap of 108 snails, all of whom had given their lives to make a distraction-free environment for Buddha's path to enlightenment. Since snails had given their lives for the Buddha, they are now honored as martyrs. Hence, they are displayed on Buddha statues to remind us of their sacrifice. Why Buddha is portrayed with curls? The portrayal of Buddha with short ringlet curls is an artistic convention and symbolism. The specific number of curls may vary from statue to statue, but it is not meant to represent dried snails. Instead, these curls are artistic representations of Buddha's hair, reflecting the artistic styles of the regions and time periods in which the statues were created. The essence of shaving the head. Shaving the head remains a symbol of renunciation, humility, and detachment in Buddhism. It represents the removal of attachments to worldly desires and a commitment to a life of simplicity and spiritual pursuit. It's a practice followed by Buddhist monks as a means of achieving inner clarity and enlightenment. In summary, while the story of 108 snails on Buddha's head is an interesting myth, it's important to understand that it is not a factual representation of Buddhist beliefs or practices. The portrayal of Buddha with curls is an artistic representation and symbolism, rather than a depiction of dried snails.